Hey everyone, Gaijin here. Alright, so today I want to talk about something that I've been experimenting with for a number of years now. And it's basically kind of this ace in the hole that I've been really curious about and developed for the last 10, 15 years, something along those lines, when it comes to being a grassroots diplomat in Japan. But I think this could be applied everywhere. And this is going to sound stupid, but just roll with me for a second, because I'm going to be talking about graphic tees. Yeah, nerdy, dumb graphic tees. I kid you not, these have been some of the best tools to getting into people and getting people to talk and really getting to know people, complete strangers, in Japan that I've ever had. And I know that really sounds dumb, but I mean, think about it. Depending on what you wear, everyone in the world I think does this to a degree. People will not only judge, but they will also try to figure out what kind of person you are based on what you wear. Right? So someone who dresses like a slob, oh, they're a slob. Someone who dresses like really nice, they either have a really good fashion sense or they make a lot of money, something like that. We assume a lot of things about people when it comes to our clothing. But I've been experimenting with this idea of how could this work in a sort of grassroots diplomatic way. And I kid you not, I've had so much success with stuff like this, and I'll kind of get to that, but let me get a couple things out of the way before I do though. Because the internet has this propensity of taking everything that I say at face value and loving to flip it around to make it sound dumb or wrong or whatever, I want to say right now that when it comes to this strategy, make sure it's context appropriate, alright? I am not advocating people going into business meetings wearing stuff like this. You know, just if you're going on business, wear a suit. Be nice. If you want to look fashionable and be seen as fashionable, be fashionable. The whole thing that I'm trying to talk about here is that this is just a funny little thing that I've discovered that I wanted to share and get y'all's opinions on, because this has been weirdly successful. And the idea is that when I've gone around wearing stuff like this, it's gotten, how can I explain it? It's actually kind of penetrated Tatemai a little bit more than not. Now, I've been throwing a lot of words around. I've been throwing around Tatemai. I'm going to be throwing around Honen. I've been throwing around grassroots diplomat. So, to clarify, whenever I say Tatemai, that is the public face. That is the public visage that people in Japan will put on in order to get along. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I mean, everyone, everywhere has some degree of Tatemai. But one of the things that I had always found a problem with when it came to trying to either befriend people or do my job as a grassroots diplomat was to kind of get past that and to get to their core and their own opinions in nature and things like that. And then the Hone is where I kind of want to get to people, because it's not only about me understanding them. The whole point of me in the JET program was to be a grassroots diplomat and get people to see that, hey, you know, this is how I actually am. And this is surprisingly effective at doing that. And when I say grassroots diplomat, what I'm talking about is being a diplomat for your country, your culture, etc. in the day-to-day. You can be a grassroots diplomat by having really good manners, going out shopping or eating or something like that. It's the little things. And in my opinion, that's where it really hits harder. It's one thing to be a government diplomat. I mean, that's its whole set of other stuff. But to be a grassroots diplomat is to show people and get at their hearts, to get at their hone, so that they can just open up to you. And then you have all of this cultural sharing going back and forth. It's complicated, but trust me, it can be very simplified. So the point that I'm trying to get at here is that when I've worn different kinds of graphic tees, I've always gotten some very, very interesting reactions from people. And sometimes it was a very, very casual, like, oh, well, that's interesting, that's cute. Or even sometimes it's been, oh, you look weird, whatever. But it always has gotten some kind of an interesting reaction out of it. I will say, though, some of you may be too young to have known this, but I will say, if you have any of the ironic shirts in Japanese, don't wear them. Don't wear them, don't use them, because it might get people talking, but it might be getting people talking for the wrong reasons. It could be equally as bad, if not worse, than someone who wears, like, an English shirt, particularly if they have a swear on it. I mean, it could be to that degree. And the shirts in question are things like looking for a Japanese girlfriend. That was really big in the early 2000s. Or these are some of my favorite, and yes, I actually own these and I have worn these, so I have learned about the cringe. Don't be like me. Like this one, literally that says, "I'm a stupid American, I will buy anything." Don't wear that. It may get a chuckle or two out of people, but it's gonna make more people uncomfortable. Or this one, which is essentially, beware of train and subway perverts. Worn in the right context, it can get a laugh out of people. It can possibly get some people to open up and talk. Especially when it comes to stuff like this, it's like, unless they're complete strangers and they think that you have no idea what this is, if people have an idea of what what this is, then they may open up and talk to you about it, because you've shown through this shirt that you know what the problem is. You're being a little ironic about it, and people might open up to it. But in general, please don't wear those. So instead, let me tell you a couple stories, I suppose, of how this actually, this idea of what it is that you wear can kind of worm its way into people's hearts and get them to open up. I've got a couple of stories, and they weren't just about me. The first one, though, it was one of the last times that I was in Japan. I don't have the shirt anymore. I'll try to find an image. If I can find an image, I'll put it here. And basically, it's just a regular gray Kirby shirt. But it says like Kabi, like in katakana at the bottom there, right? Really, really simple. I mean, you've probably seen other shirts like this all over the place. And they're made here. They're not made in Japan and brought over. They're made here. So the interesting thing that happened was that, to anyone who's ever been through security and immigration in Japan, you know that the officers there are very, they're really stern looking, they're very strict looking. They always have a mask on to show that they absolutely mean business, right? Well, here's the thing. I had that Kirby shirt on, and I was starting to go through customs, and all of a sudden, just from way over here, I hear this really high-pitched and squealy kind of, "Oh, Kirby!" I looked over, and it actually turned out to be one of the guards at the final wall, I guess you could call it, or the final door where you're going from the airport to the public in Japan. I looked over at her, and she had a smile, I could tell, but she was also incredibly embarrassed. And that doesn't sound like much, but within that, what I was able to do was establish with this person, with this security person specifically, that what I was into as an individual is something that she could relate to. That matters a lot. I think that matters, especially in the context of being a foreigner in Japanese society. When you can find something that you can relate to each other, it makes all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. And I thought it was especially good because, I mean, again, it's security. I want to prove that I am not up to anything bad, you know? I just wanted to get through security, right? But here's the thing, it didn't stop at security. So, I haven't slept in like 24 hours. It's me, Aki, Tomo, and Hutch. We're on the train. We're trying to go to their place so we can sleep, because it was nighttime by the time we got in. And then all of a sudden, from the corner of my eye, I'm on the train, I've got these suitcases, I'm half awake. This complete stranger, this never happens, by the way, especially on a train. I had a complete stranger come up to me and said in Japanese something along the lines of, "Excuse me, can I take your picture?" You have, I can feel some of you who have been to Japan, I can feel you just kind of recoil a little bit, or just, and it was so weird, because nobody talks to anyone. Nobody talks to anyone on these trains, ever. Let alone someone who's Japanese going up to a foreigner and asking for requests and things like that. That doesn't happen. So I was taken aback by it at first, and then I remembered, oh wait, like, what just happened with the security guard? And he specifically pointed to my shirt. And I don't know why. Maybe it was because he thought it was cute. Maybe he thought it was kind of dumb that this American was wearing this Kirby shirt when Kirby's this cute thing. I don't know. I don't know what the purpose was. But what it did do was briefly open up a conversation. What it did is it made this guy brave enough to come up and talk to me. Mountain or not, it gave this person the bravery to do something that is so incredibly unheard of. And it was done in order to interact with me. I don't know what he did with it. I don't know what the purpose of it was. But what I found absolutely fascinating was that a norm that I thought had existed was completely shattered. I know I keep repeating myself, but it just blew my mind that hard. That something this uncommon would happen, all because of what I wore. Now, I'm going to take this experiment further. Whenever all this virus stuff is taken care of and done, and I get back to Japan, I'm going one step further and I'm testing something. I'm testing this. I went out and I snagged this as soon as I could. Taiko no Tachi suitcase. There we go. Right? Super cute. It's all Taiko no Tachi themed. I want to see what Border Patrol and security guards, I want to see how they react when they see this. Because I'm curious whether or not it's going to get me through faster or slower, depending on who can relate to this. Because I've worn Taiko no Tachi shirts and stuff like that before in Japan, and it did get a little bit of attention. And it did start a few conversations here and there because it's such a huge and popular rhythm game that's been around forever. But I'm be real curious what people say, do, or how they react, especially when it comes to checking suitcases at immigration when they see this. I'm be real excited to see what they do. Because see, here's the other thing too that I've kind of found out, that I've kind of noticed, is that based on what you wear or how you physically present yourself, it can actually have this weird snowball effect where it's not only the fact that this one particular person, like a particular person in Japan will come up to you as a foreigner and make a quick commentary or say something about what you're wearing, either because it's cute or they relate to it. It may snowball into more than that. It can turn into a bigger conversation. I've had situations where, because of what I was wearing, it was one of those stop, sit down, and talk for a while with people about things kind of situation. And the best thing that I've seen come out of these particular situations is it kind of incentivizes people in Japan to try to speak English. It's the weirdest thing ever, but it's worked. And not even a case for me. A case with Aki. I wasn't there for this, but she recounted as best that she could. She was in the Square Enix cafe in Shibuya, and she loves Final Fantasy. So she was picking up some stuff. And she had, what was it? She had a Fantasy Record Keeper phone case and then an Estinian charm. So when she went to go get her stuff and bring it up to the cash register, it was two gals who were working the cash register and saw that Record Keeper phone case. And oh no, it wasn't Estinian, it was Kane. She had a Kane charm on it. And immediately they both let out this big giant kawaii. And what was the best thing ever is that in English they said to her, "I like your case." I know that sounds small and dumb, but as someone who has tried to teach English in Japan, really tried hard, and met with so much adversity of people of kids being nervous about saying anything for fear of being wrong or sounding dumb, this is incredibly brave. And I'll say this too, in that even during this whole crisis, when I haven't been able to travel, I've still used my clothing to talk to Japanese people who are living here. And this is gonna sound really stupid, but I kid you not, this actually happened. There is a big udon branch called Marugame that opened up not too far from here. And last winter over at MagFest, I picked this up. This is a freaking awesome Taiko no Tatsujin jacket that I've just been wearing ever since. I mean, you see a theme with the Taiko no Tachi stuff. But I wore this to this restaurant, and a manager who was walking around saw it and came up to me. Granted, it wasn't in Japanese, it wasn't English. And just started talking to me about, "Oh, you like Taiko no Tachi?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I really do." And it turned into this 3 to 5 minute conversation about, not only where did I get this or pick it up, but also like my thoughts on the game, his thoughts on the game. It was an actual human conversation. And it was one that I did not initialize. That's what makes this, in my opinion, such a powerful tool for people to open up and talk. Because every single time that I've ever used this strategy, they've come to me. And for anyone who's ever lived in Japan, ever, or even just visited, that doesn't happen. Ever. Especially not on a train, especially not a manager at a restaurant. These things don't happen, but it has happened every single time that I've worn these relatable t-shirts. I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is that some of the littlest things possible that maybe you don't really think about too much are actually some of the biggest door openers. You know, I've had experiences where I've played around with the idea of how to get people out of Tatemai and out of their sort of odd discomfort of being around foreigners and actually opening themselves up as human beings. And one of the best ways to do it has been, you know, this. It has been this. It has been, you know, this and this. I can't explain it. And whenever I have tried to explain it to more intellectual people, they just kind of write off, but I kid you not, this works. And I will definitely be interested. Again, I want to be real super interested to see how people react to this when I'm dragging this through customs. So, I don't know. What about you guys? Have you ever had a circumstance where someone from a different culture than you has come up to you and started a conversation based on what it is that you wear? Because I'm starting to think that maybe this happens more often than not, and maybe we just don't think about it that much. But I don't know. I'll be super excited to see what happens with these and this, and man, I can't wait to tell you guys about it. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for listening to this very odd rant about a very odd topic, but I'm very curious on your thoughts on it, so leave that below. Be sure to check out the other videos that I've been putting out. I still have so many ideas for this channel. I think maybe next time I'll talk about some of the more specific experiences in different activities that I had in Japan, because every single time that I go back over, there's like 5 or 6 things that I could talk about with the different events and museums and other places I visit. So we'll see from there. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this is Gaijin, signing out.